My dad?
He's my dad.
Leroy is my dad.
He got a lot of things, I think, in his past that's made him like he is, but
He's successful. He's a strong, powerful man.
Heard crazy stories about Gotti, my dad.
he has to apologize, in my opinion, for a lot of things that a lot of his kids have been through.
My pappy, Leroy, but they call him Gotti. I feel like we're kind of similar. He's calm, chill, to the point, direct, right? A little stank sometimes, like, that's my guy, he's cool.
I come from my dad too, the southern half of me. That's my last name. So, I carry his last name. When I walk this earth, that is my father, I'm his son, so.
The stories that he has just show that success is important. And if you don't have it, he's not going to look at you the same.
Heard crazy stories about Gotti, my dad, about his temper and the things he had done, the harm he may have inflicted due to feeling disrespected.
He got a lot of things, I think, in his past that's made him like he is, but my dad was in the Air Force. My dad was doing his thing with the ladies. He had other kids. Type of guy my dad is, he's a player. Like, that's just really what it was. And sure, with his track record, obviously he had a mouthpiece. So obviously at any time, those same women are going to feel some type of way about him. And he's successful. At the end of the day, I can't lie about that. He looks apart from everybody else.
That's my dad. He's as I know him in my adulthood, and since I've reconnected with him, I've known him to be a calm person, chill, a family man when it comes to his tiny family. As far as with my stepmom and my brothers that he has with her, which I hate whoever's in close proximity, but it's also bullshit because my father has about 12, 15 things. However many kids he has, there's a lot of us. He's also kind of like a man for himself and his, family, his immediate family, rather than his wife and the kids they share, my siblings they share.
But no, I respect my dad though a lot because who he was. My dad was Special Forces, served 20 years in the Air Force, over 15 tours, probably more. Like, he went a lot overseas and did a lot of missions, a lot more than 15 tours, I believe. Got injured several times. So, he's an American hero, to be honest. He was a cop too for 12 years. The man did a lot of good. Like, the community would look at it. Just like as a dad, he just wasn't there, which sucks. But for the world, he was there.
He's successful. He's a strong, powerful man. And I want my dad to be proud of me. I always felt like success was the way to make him proud. Not even just to make him proud, but to make myself feel like I accomplished something and I wasn't just a damaged child with trauma.
My dad's hard. He's a very hard person. He's very hard, but at the same time, every hard person, has that sensitive spot. And I kind of seen that. Family makes him kind of sensitive, but he has to apologize, in my opinion, for a lot of things that a lot of his kids have been through.
He's my dad. And he also wasn't present most of my life, at least in the physical aspect. So, and a lot of those years were, the critical years of when stuff sticks, when you pick up on those cues or those messages of what your life lacks or your family lacks, or what that may say about you.
I remember being that kid that my dad did show up on the weekend, and I also was that kid that my dad did show up one time on the weekend too. I had both of those experiences with him, and I remember those as a young kid. And when my dad did show up, it was cool. It was a good weekend. I knew life with dad was a lot better than life with mom, but my dad had a lot of other things at that time. We left Florida when I was 5 years old. I never saw my dad after that. Never.
I think when we first came to Washington, always daydreaming and being in my own head and zoning out on a fantasy of my dad popping up in these different places to kind of like come save us almost, or show up for us almost. But that day never came, really, when I was really eager for it. But
I didn't really grow up with my dad at all. I didn't see my dad for about 13 years of my life. I didn't see my dad 13, 14 years.
Unfortunately, I met him when I was about 14 or 15. And that's when I had a baby. And I had moved down there to live with him so he can help me, because things weren't going so great with me at my mom's house. That was the only reason why I even met my dad, was because I got pregnant, I had my baby, and life was hard for me. So I was sent to Florida with my dad so he could help me.
I did, growing up, have a lot of resentment, especially when my mom gave my dad so much credit at one point in our childhood, or so much like weight to weigh in on decisions that I felt like was of benefit to me, whether it be going away elsewhere from my mom's house while still in my adolescence. I mean, I was safer thriving anywhere else. But I felt like in my mom's care, I was really just, older sibling, like another mom.
I never seen my parents. I mean, I did when I was young. I saw them have a relationship. Like my dad would come over at night, like when we were really young. I remember like them being intimate at times. I do remember when my dad picked me up though. Like my mom could easily they get the smiles and stuff. They smile at each other. I remember that shit. Like you can obviously tell like they had a relationship. But I don't remember like going to the store or nothing like that, or going out to eat with both my parents. Like I never seen that. I did things separately with them. As I got older though too, like when they didn't talk for years, because my mom and dad didn't talk from when we left Florida in 2000 to when we finally contacted my dad like in 2008. My mom, they were cool. They're great when they talk to each other. I don't know. I guess you could say though that's like adults though too though. Like if you have kids with someone, I guess you kind of always have like that place in your heart, or you're always gonna be comfortable saying certain things. And like when my parents talk, they're cool. They don't speak badly about each other. But when they talk to us individually, they say, hey, how they feel in their bullshit. So it's like when they speak to us though, they blame. It's like the blame game though. My dad more than my mom though. My mom really too much don't say nothing at all. She don't really care to speak badly, but my dad was still here and there. And I think that's because when you're not present, you try to put more guilt on the person that was present, to be honest, because I'm an adult and I realize that now.
In his absence, I believe it taught me a lot about my self-respect, especially since having a mom who's present but not completely present in the ways you need her to be. I feel like they both kind of simultaneously just taught me all the values, all the things that I feel like I have to show up for times 10 compared to others, or I've always been praised for, are things that like in their absence or their presence or their examples have taught me, like my self-respect, all those messages I got from my mom's life, my dad's life, their absence, and just as an adolescent, really, and even going through my own tests and trials and tribulations, and running into the errors my mom could never seem to identify, and just knowing where, my boundaries have to start and begin with any and everyone. I was happy to reconnect with my dad when it was about 14, 15? I don't know. Sometime in high school.
I mean, he just impacted me in the fact as a man. As I got older, he gave me good conversations. I wanted to join the military, and he kind of geared me kind of away from that. Like kind of saying I didn't need that because he put his time in college. He became kind of impactful, because I talked to him more. He gave me his GI Bill.
As, let's say, maybe 15 or 16, I would reach out to my dad more to talk and get advice. And he would always tell me, baby girl, you deserve the world. Baby girl, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. Even if they tell you no, always find a way to get that yes.
I would say he taught me a lot of the best qualities I have, even respecting others or having the grind I do have and see what my mom lacks and still lacks and has still yet to provide in these ways. One to show up 10 times as better or 10 times as capable, shall I say.
So he was just impactful. Just having like a manly conversation. I would come to him with real shit when I got older. Like I would call him and be like, yo, dad, this is happening. He would like have real ass conversations with me. I remember calling him when I had witnessed someone getting shot at a club when I was in Spokane, when I was in college. And it was the first time I went to a club and I saw someone get shot. And I remember going home and I messaged him and was like, dad, I saw somebody, and then he called me and he's like, man, yeah, you'll see some shit. Want to see it? And we just had a real ass conversation about it.
I still feel like I have, that small Shaidaja in me that wants their dad to still show up and reach out and show effort and have that type of relationship most young girls want to have with their dad. I wishing there was just more effort, especially since we have phone, communication, social media.
I think he is selfish. Sometimes as an adult, you have to seek those relationships no matter what the bullshit is. And I think sometimes my dad doesn't get past that and he lets other things cover that. If you got kids and you have the opportunity to build a relationship with your kids, you do that. You never want to say, I wish I could have or would have done something.
Absent fathers teach you just as much as present fathers do, as far as your expectation goes when it comes to your partner. Like when it came to my husband, I had all these expectations because of how I wanted my father to show up for me, how I saw others' fathers show up for others in myself. I would say he played a big part in how I wanted to shape my life and those in my lives around me, and how that impacts on my children, my future children whenever they come.
Because I look at my kids and it's like I would always do whatever I could to see them. So to see that he could have the opportunity to be more a part of my life, does that bother me? Yeah. But do I care? No, because at the end of the day, every man gonna do what he gonna do. And I gotta keep pushing and I gotta keep providing for mine and set an example I can.
Kind of like my mom, I just accept them for the individuals that they are, the people they are. It's hard to teach old bird new tricks, but just accepting that what I see is what I'm gonna get. What I have been receiving is just what I should expect. And at some point, you got to be okay with that.
It's very disappointing. But you can't change the past.
I think, too, the older he gets, he's more open about his past and all of us. I'm learning more about him, though, every time I get to see him in person or talk to him on the phone. I learn more and more about him. I still love him, though, and I appreciate the time I do get because I know it's not often.
And I think as you get older, people grow to a little more softer and, like to appreciate the things that really matter. Especially since, he's taking care of his mom, my grandma, and kind of seeing her deteriorate. Like, I feel like that make, anybody want to just hold on to what you do have with the kids you do have.